week, and von deswegen interesting things came through. Let's go down to the next. How do I get there? All right. So there we are. My first shiloh, which at the beginning of the week, actually I think it was on Friday after the Shia, was that someone has a meaty, a fleshliche microwave oven, and someone, sometimes you have a guest or someone doesn't know what they're doing, and they took some milchika, some cheese borekes, and heated them up in the fleshliche microwave. Now let me spend a minute to understand that about kashering a microwave. It's a difficult thing, because normally you can heat up an oven, you can use a blowtorch, you can do an intense heat. With a microwave, unless it's got a built-in, also another, it's got a dual thing, it's got another element, a heating element, but otherwise you can't really put intense heat in the microwave. So what's normally done is to take a glass of water, a cup of water, and you put it onto the highest temperature, you leave it there for 10 minutes, and the thing becomes full of steam, and that's the best thing you can do for kashering. You also have to clean the vents. Very, very difficult. You see in this picture, these vents at the back, they're very difficult to open. So it's, as far as I'm concerned, kashering a microwave is a b'diavad situation. It means you own a microwave, it became treif, okay, that's a b'diavad. You kasher it as well as you can. I emphasize this, but to go and buy a second-hand microwave and say, I'll kasher it, I would say no. Because that's a lechatchila. And then, Baruch Hashem, they're not that expensive. So, okay, see, to kasher a microwave is a little bit of a b'diavad. And I want to add another point, that the microwave works with, we discussed it last week, yeah, about the friction, the resistance, and the resistance of the food with the microwave somehow creates a friction and makes it hot. Don't ask me more about this, because I never think about this in school. But what I do understand is that there's a difference between the heat of a glass of water and the heat of a piece of meat or a piece of kugel. Because they are more dense, they will have a greater resistance.
Your sound is very inaccurate. There's a problem with your sound.
Come later, yeah? As a result, the resistance is less.
Diane, we're losing your sound. Diane, we're losing your sound.
I can't see him either.
Okay, so this is our challenge. The microwave, there can be, you heat up a food, and the food has got much greater resistance, and as a result, the temperature is going to be much more than that which will be generated in a glass of water. So as a result, the kashering of a microwave is a b'diavad. If you have a microwave to say that you have to throw it out, you kasher it. It's a b'diavad. Here comes a different question. Let's say you can kasher the microwave. You have here this ceramic dish. This ceramic dish is a klicheres, and klicheres you can't kasher. Everyone knows you can't kasher klicheres. The only thing you can do is put it back in the kiln. This is not such a practical dish. My own experience is that too. My own experience is that to find a replacement for those dishes is such a headache. We had such a thing. Someone heated up some food in the microwave and got it, messed up. And to find a replacement, it was so difficult. So this is a reality which we have to face. So,
what about waiting and leaving it for a year? Does that help?
All right. So thank you, Jensen. So that's what I'm going to deal with. The question here is like this. If you heat up food in this microwave, let's say the walls have been kashered, and you've put food on that ceramic dish. After 24 hours, it's called noisen tam lefgam, and the food won't become treif. So why do we kasher dishes? Why don't we just leave them for 24 hours? because nois and tam lifgam, the fact that it's a spoiled taste after 24 hours is a b'di'evet. L'chatchila, you can't use a tray for dish or a fleishike for milchike because it's more than 24 hours. You're not allowed to use it. So you ask me, can I put now back some fleishike food directly on the ceramic dish? The answer is no, because you're not allowed to use a ben yoyim l'chatchila. But what I responded is, if they will continue using it with fleishik, but they'll put it in a pot, they'll put it not in a pot, you don't put it in the microwave, in a dish, they're not going to put fleishik directly on the ceramic. They'll put it always in another dish. And then Yonason says it's after 12 months, then we can also rely on, so what we did actually in our house, I have a glass one, not a ceramic one. So there's another cheshbon, some say the glass doesn't take in any taste. I covered it with cling film, which was a hassle because it kept on getting caught in the wheels which are underneath of the turntable. At any rate, what I'm saying is the following. I told them continue using it for fleishik. Well, you kasher it with hot water. The ceramic dish you can't kasher. Continue using it for fleishik, but the fleishik should always be in a dish. If it happens to spill out, nish gefährlich. Because, as I said, but yeah, we're going to rely on it's not going to make anything treif in any case. That was, and after 12 months, as Yonason says, one can already rely on the opinion of the Chacham Tzvi, who says, he says that this idea of a spoiled taste still being an issue is only up till 12 months. But after 12 months, even the spoil, it's totally a problem legamri, as it has no bearing. We don't rely on that alone, but that is used that as a factor to make to make a heter when necessary. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next slide.
Sorry, I'm Raaskin. I had someone ask me about stuff that he had as a Yerusha that was very sentimental. So would that apply in that case?
So, all right, very good. You bring this up. That this, when people have dishes which have got sentimental value, etc., and the one is what it says to put in a kiln, but they won't survive a kiln necessarily. There is what is normally advised is to combine two shittas. There's the shitta of the Chacham Tzvi, which I just mentioned, which says after 12 months you don't have to kasha, but on that alone we won't rely. Therein is also there's a bala itur that although says in the Gemara that the Torah testifies that earthenware will never be completely released, be purged of its taste. That itur says that's only if you kasha it once. If you kasha it 3 times, you can kasha klicheres, you can kasha a clay thing also. That's the itur. So again, we don't paskin like the itur on its own. When the two come together and there is a tzorach gadol, let's say in the case of a family heirloom, etc., so we'd say hang on to it for 12 months. So you have the heter of the Chacham Tzvi. We'll do a kashering 3 times in boiling water. We'll have the itur, and with the two together, we'll be able to be matter it because of the tzorach gadol. Let's move on to the next thing because we have Baruch Hashem a full schedule. Okay. So now I got this whole feedback from my, that was 2 weeks ago, spoke about the Eruv in N15. So someone, a friend of mine, a classmate, he lives in Crown Heights, and he was saying why he was wondering why I was taking such a strict view. And he's saying that even really you could have the Eruv in the whole of Stamford Hill because there's no Rishus Harabim, because the Rishus Harabim has to be a straight road all the way through from one end of town to the other, etc. And then, so my first response to him was that when you hear that the Rebbe says an Eruv, which is public knowledge, is takola ayuma, how do you handle that? When you say the Rebbe sees this, and you understand, the Rebbe understood that an Eruv makes life easier. But he sees that the last night we had a Fabrengen talking about the narrower view and the broader view. The Rebbe saw the Eruv in the narrower view as a relief, but in the broader view, it could cause a lot of problems. Because people will take this freedom elsewhere where the Eruv is not there. Okay, at any rate, but this question, does Stamford Hill have a din of so I said to him like this, how can you say that London does not have Rosh Hashanah? We don't have Rosh Hashanah today. Tell me a simple question. We know that we don't blow shofar on Shabbos. Why? In case there's someone who doesn't know how to blow a shofar, he may come along with a shofar to the Chacham to teach him how to blow shofar. Now, if we don't have Rosh Hashanah, so 2,000 years ago they did have Rosh Hashanah. What happened? What happened? Of course, then they did have Rosh Hashanah. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stopped us blowing shofar on Shabbos, Megillah on Shabbos, and Lulav on Shabbos. So they did have Rosh Hashanah. So what happened? Yes, 300 years ago, 200 years ago, Posca said, "Ain't on Rosh Hashanah." So I've discussed that last time. Then they had smaller towns, Prague, Hanover, Varsha. These are all small towns. They didn't have the kind of populations which we have in our cities today. Back in the times of the Gemara, you're reading Gemara of Beitar and Yerushalayim, you see they had millions of people in their towns. So that was the change. When there were millions of people in town, there is a Rosh Hashanah Deraisa. When the cities became much smaller, as they were in Europe, they would say Einon Rosh Hashanah. And then now the situation has changed. We do have cities which are open, which have got millions of people. And another point, when you say 600,000 passes by, does it mean they're passing by on a single road? Or do you say if all the roads are connected to one another, then if you've got 600,000 users of the roads, because all the roads are kind of connected to one another, upon him, these are the arguments that you can't with full confidence say that in London or other big cities that there's no Rosh Hashanah Deraisa. You can't really do that. And that was obviously the view of Rav Padve, Zichron Livrocha, who didn't allow making an Eruv in such areas where there's these, the only difference is that N15, as we discussed last time, has got this beautiful advantage that it's got this 3 walls which are there, and so they're making use of that advantage. One last thing which was put to me today about placing dishes in the dishwasher on Shabbos, and that is, on Shabbos you're not allowed to prepare for after Shabbos. So are you allowed to clear off from the table? So clearing off from the table is allowed. Are you allowed to put a towel in the washing machine? So the answer is, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it just to clear away from the table, to tidy up? That's okay. So you've got some dirty towels, used towels, you want to put them in the washing machine just as storage, that's okay. But to sort the washing, you're not allowed to do on Shabbos. To put stuff away from the table and to put the dirty dishes and stack them in the dishwasher, no. But to start sorting them out, and the way, I don't know exactly the whole Olech Yelef, but here I've got here again, this is from the Sefer Piskat Shuvas. Again, so at the bottom note, if you can read here, he writes here, this is from the late Rav Falk, Zichron Livrocha. You're allowed to put dishes in the dishwasher. It's a storage area. But you should be careful not to sort out. This goes here, there's the bigger ones, the smaller ones. That kind of sorting, he says it's issue of boiler. So he doesn't even go into the inyan of meichen, of preparing for after Shabbos. And he says, so this is Machzel Yo. So he has a problem with boiler, of sorting out one from the other, the bigger ones with the smaller ones, or different types of dishes. That's his I didn't look it up in his sefer. But I see here another issue of, to do something on Shabbos, to save effort from after Shabbos, to save time on after Shabbos, that's a problem of making a Shabbos. I want to finish off, because it's Behemshech to Gimel Tammuz. I gave a shiur this week, talking about the Rebbe in relation to halacha, etc. And this is very much related to London, and that is that in Topshin Lamed Vov, I was about 15 years old then. I was in Yeshiva in Brnois, and at that time there was the late Dayan Fisher, Reb Michal Fisher. He was a Boki B'Shas, brilliant man, very outspoken type of character. I was outspoken, I mean in halach. I don't know about his politics. I don't know. I wasn't. You know. But he was a strident type of nature. And the Kotzen Vogel, known to us as Bobby Vogel, Olav Sholem, so he persuaded Dayan Fisher to come to the Rebbe for Shavuos. And Diane Fisher was totally spoil, so excited. He had went back gone to the Rebbe and talking in Torah, and the Rebbe's brilliance in Torah was very taken. I remember then they made a special, a special reception for Diane Fisher. And he said, in his, his literature way, he says, I am such a Litvak, I don't have a single drop of Chassidische blood in my veins. And he said, he was talking about the Rebbe, and he said there's 4 levels in the Baki B'Shas. There's a person who knows the Shas. Generally, there's a person who knows it page by page. And then you've got someone who is so, he's like he's revising it the whole time. So the Ragachova is like he's revising it the whole time. Then you've got someone, it's mamish in front of his eyes. And he says, that's the Rebbe. He saw in the Rebbe a great familiarity in Shas. And we don't appreciate necessarily. But listen to the Rebbe when he's speaking. And here he's throwing a ton of Develio, he's throwing a Medrash, he's throwing a Zoya. He's continually quoting sources. And he's not, at any rate, and people who understand that would appreciate, Diane Fisher was someone who appreciated this. At any rate, he was in Yechidus. And he asked a particular shayla. And the Rebbe said he'll discuss it by the Fabrengen. So by the Fabrengen, the Rebbe spoke about the inyan of Tvilas Kelim, and the question was why one of the reasons given for eating milchiks on Shavuos is because the Fleishike Kelim were not kosher because the Yidden had gone through Matan Torah. So yesterday they shechted and they were allowed to eat it. Today from yesterday's shechita is treif because it's shechted by a goy. So they couldn't use their Kelim. Therefore, they used the milchikas. So Diane Fisher had asked the question apparently, but they hadn't toiveled the Kelim. And so then the Rebbe combined it with another couple of questions, and just to keep things short, the Rebbe explained the following principle, and it's not a chiddush of the Rebbe. It's written in Rishonim. I want to share with you. It's Erev Shabbos, a little a mice. I heard the mice like this. I'm going to come back to the Tfilas Kelim. Once the Frierdiker Rebbe is sitting in the foyer, not the foyer, in a hotel. He's sitting in like a big open
lobby. The lobby.
In the lobby. He was sitting in the lobby of a hotel, and someone came over to him and said, Lubavitcher Rebbe, was hat Chassidus aufgetan? What did Chassidus achieve? What did Chassidus introduce? In the lobby, there were these trees, decorative trees. And so the Rebbe says to him, did you notice that palm tree up there? It was so odd. He's asking for something about what the Chassidus introduced, and the Rebbe is diverting his attention to some tree. So he says, no, I didn't notice it before, but what's that got to do with my question? So the Rebbe answered, the Frierdiker Rebbe, yeah? He said, that's the inyan. That there are inyanim which are in Torah the whole time, but people didn't notice them. And Chassidus kind of brought our attention to those areas. There are certain, the word mantra is the right word. There are certain concepts which are in Chazal, but they weren't focused on. And Chassidus brought the focus. So coming back about the Tfilas Kelim. So there's this word of the Rebbe is written in the Ritva and other Meforshim, Rishonim, in the Gemara. It says the following. Why do you toivel Kelim? Because yesterday, thank you. Yesterday, this Keli was possible, it would be used for treif. There was a Yiddish expression, nicht abgefragt. It was possible, that would be used for treif. Now it comes to Rishon, it's abgefragt. It's not going to be used for treif. So there's this Keli, yesterday, it was possible to be used for treif. Today, yeah, so this Keli yesterday, it could have been used for treif. Today, it's not going to be used for treif. That's something to celebrate. And to inaugurate that it's transition from possibly being used for treif to not being used for treif, that is where the mikveh comes in, taking the Keli to be. Says the Rebbe, before Matan Torah, Eden were keeping mitzvahs. They kept meat separate and milk separate. They're like the Avraham Avinu kept the dinim of Erev. So they kept the dinner before. The problem was with the meat, because yesterday's meat was shechted by a goy, so I can't have it today. The milk was, they could use yesterday's milk, and therefore, so it was kosher kalim. So therefore, in other words, even before matan torah, the kalim which the Yidden owned were such that they would not be used for treifa food, and therefore there was no need for the milchik kalim to have to be tovel. That was the Rebbe's explanation.